What's going on, my fellow basketball sickos? After dominating their first round series, the Nuggets and the Timberwolves are meeting in the Western Conference in what could be the matchup between the two best teams in the West. So the Nuggets are coming in as the defending champs and knowing that when they play well and when they're at their best, it's going to be very hard for them to be beat. And then the Wolves are coming in, riding high off of their sweep of the Suns and feeling like they can beat anyone that's in front of them. So we could be in an absolute dogfight of a series in this second round. So I want to do a preview of this and discuss the key factors for each team and each team's path to winning the series. Starting with the Timberwolves, like I said, they're coming off of an absolutely dominant sweep of the Suns, and I know for a fact that they are on top of the world confidence-wise and mindset-wise. And as a fan and as a basketball fan, that they completely won me over in that series. I wasn't really sure of what my opinion was going into the playoffs of this team and how far they could go, but after that series and after that sweep, I am fully in, and I'm high on the Minnesota Timberwolves because they are now one of my best four teams, one of my top four teams that's left in the playoffs. But unfortunately for them, they're playing another one of my top four teams that's left in the playoffs, and it's in the second round. So one of these teams is going to have to go early before they get to the Final Four. So that's just an unfortunate thing, but that's just the way this very competitive NBA landscape is shaping up. But before the season kind of started, my big question for them was whether or not that they could find an identity with the makeup of their roster and whether or not the two big lineup was going to work with Gobert and Towns. And they have answered that and much, much more. They decided, early on in this season that they're going to out-physical you, they're going to outwork you, and they're going to out-athletic you until eventually you wear down and have a few minutes or a few plays of relaxation, and that's when they pounce and kind of go on their run and establish their control of the game. So they carried that all throughout the regular season, and they have carried that on into the playoffs. But that starts with their defensive anchor in Rudy Gobert, the man in the middle. He is known to do a lot of talking, especially these days, and has claimed that his peers don't like him and don't understand him because they are jealous that he's a French player that's winning all the awards. But he claims that he's the best defender in the league, and well, here's his chance to prove to me, to prove to his peers, to prove to the world that he is the best defender on earth. There will be no better opportunity in his career than the one he is in right now. He gets a chance to match up with Nikola Jokic, who is clearly the best player in the league by far. And it's not a situation where his team is completely outmatched. This is a fairly even matchup from both sides. So if Gobert is able to slow down Jokic and help the Wolves knock off the Nuggets, he will win over a lot of the people that hate on him. But the question is, can he slow down Jokic? Because history shows us that even him, who is the best defender in the league, is not really able to slow down Jokic. He kind of gets what he wants and does what he wants to on the basketball floor, no matter who's opposite him. So that's the first key for this Wolves team. Gobert has to show up and make things tough for Jokic. Another key factor is the trio of the most important role players on this team, which is Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, and Naz Reid. But each of them for different reasons. For Mike Conley, he has to continue to be that calming presence, that veteran presence on the team that helps this team through the ups and downs, not get too high, not get too low, because there will be tons of them throughout this series and throughout the rest of the playoffs if they make it past it. But the biggest thing is he also needs to continue to be timely. He only averaged 11 points in the series against the Suns in that first round, but it felt like every one of his shots that he made was either stopping a run or starting a run. And he just made big shot after big shot after big shot. And to beat the Nuggets, they're going to need tons of that, and they're going to need a lot of that as the series goes along, especially when it gets deeper into the series. For Jaden McDaniels, they will need him to provide that same intensity in guarding Jamal Murray that he did with KD, Booker, and Bill, or whoever he was matched up on throughout that series. When he was the primary defender on any of those three, he made things really, really tough on them, and that's why their efficiency was way down. So I need him to do the exact same thing against Jamal Murray. So if he's able to keep Murray in check and have him to have a fairly bad series, that will really increase their chances. And then on the offensive end, he just needs to keep being aggressive and keep being confident and picking his spots when he needs to do his thing and provide some stuff for the team. And then lastly, for Naz Reid, he was not great in that first round, let's just be honest. But I'm not asking him to be great, but he just needs to be close to the same player that won him the Sixth Man of the Year award, because bench scoring could be really the difference in this series, because I think it's really going to be one of those series where you look at the small things such as bench points and rebounding and turnovers, just the little details of the game is going to be the difference in this series. I think it's that close. And then the last key factor for the Wolves is an obvious one, but Anthony Edwards and Cat have to be their normal selves, if not more. Assuming Aaron Gordon guards Cat, he has to win that matchup. There's no way he can let Aaron Gordon outplay him. Otherwise, the Timberwolves have no chance. Of course, he needs to keep shooting the ball well and shooting it with confidence. But more importantly, he needs to take advantage of the mismatches when he gets them, because there will be mismatches throughout this series, and they'll try to attack certain advantages that they have all throughout the floor. But he cannot stay on the perimeter for the entirety of the game and expect the Wolves to be successful against this Nuggets team, because that not only are the Nuggets a really good offensive team, they are really good on the defensive end. So any advantage that you can create, you have to try to take advantage of it. And one of those is going to be when Cat gets switches on some of the smaller guards like KCP and Reggie Jackson and Jamal Murray. And last but certainly not least, Anthony Edwards has to continue to kill whoever or whatever is in front of him. Those are his words, not mine. And he has to continue to be that guy that he says. He must continue to dominate, to be aggressive, to be confident, to talk trash. Whatever he needs to do to continue to be that guy, he must do. And I'm fairly confident that he will. But KCP is a great defender. I will admit that. He is all NBA first team on defense, in my opinion. But he cannot deal with Ant one-on-one. Ant does a lot of talking about wanting to be the best player in the NBA and all that. This is a ripe opportunity for him to start building his case. He is heading in that direction already, but if he's able to knock off the defending champs, he will instantly move into that upper echelon of players in this league and already be in that top 5 conversation if he's not already. But this will kind of fast track that and move it on up, because he has become one of my favorite players in the league, and I'm sure many of you have started to jump on the bandwagon and really start to like him. So I cannot wait to watch him rise to the occasion of this moment and rise to the moment that's getting ready to be in front of him. But one thing that is true throughout all this is that even if all of those things I just talked about for the Timberwolves, even if all those things do happen, it is not going to be enough to break the Nuggets like it broke the Suns. This Nuggets team is not going to fold, and they have the ability to withstand all that I just talked about and still be able to win the series. So let's get into the Nuggets and what their key factors are for this matchup. Things are a lot less complicated for the Nuggets. They have their identity. They have their blueprint. They have been there and done this, so there's nothing new here for them. But what exactly is that blueprint? Well, first off, Jokic has to be Jokic. But I have gotten to the point, and I'm sure most of you have as well, where I consider this a guarantee. His floor is probably the highest in the NBA in terms of a single game performance. His worst games are better than 99% of the league. So I kind of consider it a foregone conclusion that he is going to show up and be dominant like he always does. And when I was talking about Anthony Edwards, I did consider saying that he needs to be the best player in this series in order for the Timberwolves to win. But I'm not sure that's even possible when you're playing against Nikola Jokic, because even if he has a bad series, he's still going to be putting up crazy numbers and still going to be the best player in the series no matter what Anthony Edwards does. So I didn't even say that. But Ant is going to have to need to play on that level where it's like statistically he may not have been the best player in the series, but as far as timing, as far as production late in games and big moments, Ant has to be the best player. And then outside of Jokic, Jamal Murray should be the focus of the Nuggets, because although he hit those 2 game winners against the Lakers, he was not very good in that series. He only averaged 23 points and was not efficient at all, just shooting 40% from the field and 29% from 3. And while that's not terrible, it is nowhere near the 27 points per game on 47% from the field and 39% shooting from 3 that he had during last year's title run. So he has to up his game and get back to that playoff Jamal Murray we're used to seeing, and not just in the final seconds, because they are really going to need some consistency out of him to beat this Wolves team, because they are not the Lakers. This is definitely a step up and a level up. To get that consistency, it's going to have to be a joint effort between him, the team, and the coaching staff, because for him, he needs to be more selective in the shots that he decides to take. I know that he is a tough shot taker, tough shot maker, but taking those types of shots all the time on a hindered calf and with this Wolves defense that is the best in the league is not going to be sustainable, and that's not a pathway to success. Now, he is going to have to make some tough shots throughout this series, because with McDaniels on him or whoever they decide to guard him, or just the collective defense of the Wolves, you're going to have to make some tough shots. But the majority of his shot attempts cannot be this. He needs some easy buckets. The rest of the team, as well as the coaching staff, are really going to be key in trying to help him get those easy buckets, because I think he needs to go off ball some more. And although it's not his strong suit, it could lead to some easier shots. So they need to get him off the ball more to take some of that pressure and that wear and tear off of him where he's having to create his own shot, and they need to run some stuff with some down screen actions, just anything to get him an easy catch and shoot or easy back cut layup. However, as important as Jokic and Murray are to this team and to their success, them performing well is not going to be enough to beat this Wolves team. Michael Porter Jr. was on one the entire Lakers series. I don't know what got into him. I know he's a great player and a great shooter, but he was on one that entire series, and his percentages were crazy. But he's going to have to keep that up. He is shooting the skin off the ball right now, and he's also rebounding the ball very well. And this is the first time that the Nuggets have really faced somebody that has similar positional size to them and that can match them in that aspect of the game. So he's going to have to step up and be big on the glass and help them out there as well. And then lastly, the two guys that were not great against the Lakers were KCP and Reggie Jackson. You know, KCP only averaged 8 points and shot 28% from the three-point line. He still played some great defense, and they will need him to do some more of that for sure. But I'm a little worried about his ankle and how that's going to hold up trying to guard Anthony Edwards for an entire series, and if it's going to affect him on that end laterally or just athleticism-wise. Is he going to be moving the same on that hurt ankle? But more importantly, they will need him to shoot the ball a lot better in this series. Also, with Reggie Jackson, he will need to be a lot better. They are going to need another playmaker against this defense, especially when Murray or Jokic is off the floor. And Reggie Jackson is really the only other player that can provide that on this team and that can fill that role. So I'm looking for him to play a lot better and to be a lot more aggressive and give the Nuggets some bench production because, like I said, I think the bench is going to be real key in this series and kind of be part of the deciding factor. So I really do think it is going to take a lot better play from the Nuggets to beat this Wolves team. Despite winning that series in 5, the Nuggets did not play their best basketball and not even near it, and I'm not sure that will be enough against this team. But both teams are coming into this series with their blueprint to win. We all know that those blueprints are going to have to change and be tweaked as the series goes along. That's just part of playoff basketball. But the team that is able to impose their style and impose their will on the other will ultimately be the one that wins the series. So it's going to be real interesting to see whether the Wolves are up for the challenge and ready to knock off the defending champs, or if the Nuggets are ready to remind the world that there are levels to this and they are still the king of the hill. And I guess only time will tell which of those is true. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out some more of our content.